Okay, so here's a quick tutorial on how to set up the bass sound from the other video. The method I used is basically amplitude modulation, so you send the MIDI data from MIDI Guitar to a sine wave oscillator, which then modulates the amplitude of your guitar input. So what you need to do this is, of course, MIDI Guitar 2, and then some type of CV-based modular environment. I'm using my iPad and a software called Drambo, which is also available for Mac, but I saw that there's also a free software that does this. It's called VCV Rack. I haven't tried it yet, but I think it should work just fine with this as well. I will put all the links in the description, of course. Yeah, so let's go. Okay, so first of all, you can just create a new instrument here, and then we need an audio input. For my setup, because I'm using a microphone, I would just add a stereo to left, right, and connect this one. Yeah, that's working. Okay, so next up, we of course need MIDI Guitar 2. Connect the MIDI to CV module to MIDI Guitar. Check if MIDI Guitar is actually receiving. Yes. We can already tap this and put it into monophonic mode because we're not creating a polyphonic patch here. Next up, what I like to do is add a MIDI monitor just to see if everything's working. Okay. Then we go ahead and create our oscillator. Put it to sine and transpose it by 1 octave or 12 semitones. We need a VCA, which is just called an amp inside Drambo. Then we need the virtual amplifier of your choice. In my case, I'm using Primo because it's free and it sounds really nice. Connect that to the amp, and the amp you should just connect to your audio input. So then what I like to do is put an oscilloscope here just to check the waveform, see how it transforms when you move the knobs. And then for the chorus effect, because it just sounds good with bass guitar, put a chorus in here, connect it to Primo, and then connect your main out to the chorus. So that should be the setup. What we now have to do is modulate the amplitude of your guitar input by the oscillator wave. We click on this button and then we can choose the modulation source, which would be the oscillator. And then what you do is have this on 0 and just drag this down. So now the amplitude of the guitar input is modulated in the frequency of the oscillator. And then what you get is this kind of octave effect, which has no latency and sounds pretty cool, in my view. It sounds also very good when you put distortion on it. And you can hear there's like this noise that comes just from the volume going up and down quickly. So what you can do is add a denoise plugin. I'm using Bruce Free by Clef Grunt. Click on that. Wait, first connect this to your amp, connect the chorus to the denoise, and then click this learn button, which gets rid of most of the noise. Right, so the other thing you can do, what I found, is like it sounds really good also if you tune it not to 12 semitones, but to 7 semitones down. And what happens then is that actually it drops by 19 semitones. So it's like an octave and a fifth. So now right now I'm playing an A, but what you hear is a D. And this also tends to bring out the other overtones. So if I increase the distortion here, which also brings out the overtones. If you listen carefully, you should hear a major third in there. Let's put on the compressor. What you could also do is set it up so that only the first 12 notes of your guitar would be transposed down by an octave. And the way you would do that is you would need 3 things. First of all, you would need an oscilloscope, which we can put here. What we then need is a number module, also a function, and a morph knob. I'm sure there's other ways to do this. This is just what I came up with. It has its disadvantages because right now you can just turn down the modulation amount of the oscillator onto the amp and kind of bring out, it's like a mix knob. You can just mix it in gradually and then have the original signal of the guitar mixed in there. The method I'm using doesn't really allow for that. I mean, you could probably set it up somewhere. Okay, so what we need is a greater B, then connect your oscilloscope to the little note button here of the MIDI to CV. And when you now play a note, you get a number over here. Right now it's 0.09. If I play an E, it's 0.04. And if we put that number in here, 0.04, this function module will put out an on value if the value A is greater than value B. So if we have a morph knob here, what this does, you can assign it to control any other knob in this setup. So I can assign it to control the modulation amount of the oscillator on the amp. So I just assign it like so, and if I move this, you can see this decreases. If I move it down, we get the mix value basically. So I now know that the E3 is it on my guitar spits out a 0.04 value into my oscilloscope. So if I put this number here and say if the MIDI to CV node is greater than 0.04, then this function should affect the amount of the morph knob on the mix knob of the oscillator. So right now I'm playing an E. As you can hear, nothing happens when I go down a half step. You see this little white thing moves up. So everything that I play that is higher than an E3 just causes the mix knob to go back to its 0 position. So what's cool about this is that I think you can see there's lots of room for experimentation here. You can, for example, use a different waveform or even maybe something like a wavetable oscillator, or maybe even an FM operator or whatever you can come up with by yourself. Yeah, so I hope you do something cool with this and have fun. Bye bye.